Recruiting is a grind, and sometimes you got to wait a little bit and push a little bit harder to get a commitment from players that are at the top of the recruiting board.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Wednesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here on Wednesday, June 26th in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. One thing I have learned this year, last year, and ever since we started hosting this podcast is that recruiting is one of those things that never stops. You can't let up. You have to always keep pushing. It is a grind, not just a 365-day grind, but sometimes you're grinding to get a commitment from certain players for 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 years. And that's one of those things that sometimes the longevity to just get a commitment from one player, it might exhaust you. The longevity that's needed to get a commitment from multiple top priority recruits on your recruiting board, that might exhaust you, but you can't let up. You can't stop. And one thing that's on my mind is we see a lot of these things be said about players that are on Ohio State's recruiting board. Recruiting is a grind. You may have to wait. You may have to wait till December 4th, the early National Signing Day, to get a commitment from certain players, and that's okay. But if you're saying, hey, it's okay to wait, you also got to remember you can't let up. It's one of those weird things about this sport that coaches don't really like. It's really, really tough to be able to be a top-end coach, to be a coach that wants to be a coach that has the best team every single year, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait, you got these dead periods. You got these periods when we can't contact players. All of a sudden, bam, on this day, you can contact players. Okay, we got to watch his film. We got to go visit him. Wait, constant communication. Wait, I'm with my family. Wait, constant communication. Wait, I want to spend time with my kids. Wait, the constant communication. And there's so many things here with recruiting that impact your family, that impact you, that impact how much time you're working. And, buddy, it ain't easy. For some people, coaching football is easy. There are coaches out there that can coach in their sleep. It just comes easy. The X's and O's, man, they can pick that thing up and just walk with it blind with the blindfold, walk 10 yards like it ain't nothing. Why? On a straight line. Why? Because it's that easy for them. But then there are some people that, well, recruiting is not easy. It's work. Some parts may come easy, but then the NCAA changes rules, and based on some rules that they've changed recently, we'll touch on some of those later. A lot of things, it's just the NCAA saying, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to police anything. Instead of not policing anything, we'll just change the rules so we don't have to do the things people say we need to do. Whatever the case may be with the NCAA, even if they lay off some things, you still got to push hard, and it may be even harder because they're allowing for different things. For instance, players have unlimited official visits. They can come to your school in June. They can take 4 visits in June, 5 visits in June, and then 5 more in the season. What does that do? Man, we've been working. We've been grinding. We got that kid on our campus on the biggest recruiting weekend we've had all summer. And what happened? Well, he's still taking visits. Did we do something wrong? No. Or are we at the top of his board? Yes. So what happened? He still wants to take visits. This is just the nature of the game. And I'm saying all this because a lot of you have seen different rumors and different things being said about Jordan Davis. And some of you follow the recruiting boards in 247 or on 3. And some of you may listen to various other podcasts out there covering Ohio State. And there are different things being said about Jordan Davison. Will he be at Ohio State? Will he not be at Ohio State? Do the Buckeyes want 2 running backs in the class? Do the Buckeyes want 3 running backs in the recruiting class? What does Ohio State want there? Okay, cool. You got Zion Grady from middle of nowhere, Alabama, basically. Do you want Malik Autry? Okay, cool. Now, what do you have to do to get Malik Autry? Do you have to wait? Is it a now thing? Do you got to wait a little bit? I believe I saw that he's going to be coming to Columbus for a game in the fall. I'm not sure exactly which game, but he will be coming to Ohio State in the fall. Okay, cool. That's in the fall. Will you get him to be able to verbally flip his commitment from Auburn to Ohio State before that? Maybe. But if he does commit to Ohio State verbally at that point in time, will it be enough for him to sign on the dotted line, which is the end-all, be-all of what you want? Not sure. Now, there's other guys out there as well. I think Maxwell Roy, the name is not exactly the one I was thinking about. But there are certain people that will kind of make this thing a little bit more difficult for you, make it work a little bit harder. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with waiting a little bit, with the grind of recruiting. Well, I don't like all things with recruiting right now, but it's still going to be a grind. Even if the rules are not the way that they are, allowing for a lot of freedom from the players, it is still a grind. Why? There's only one Davis Sanders Jr., and there are a lot of schools trying to get him. What does Davis Sanders Jr. want? I don't know where he's leaning right now, left or right, forward or backwards. What I do know is that, hey, he may be one way one day, and the next day he might be a different day. And the day after that might be a different way. And the day after that may be a different way. What do you find? In 4 days, there's 4 different leans, and what? Just got to wait. But you can't just wait and sit back and do nothing. You got to wait, but also pursue. You got to wait, but also make sure you're being about your business. This is recruiting. If it sounds a little exhausting right now with the way we're talking about this thing, it's because it is. It was Maxwell Roy, the one that I was thinking about recently, who is a player that a couple crystal balls were put in for him to commit to Ohio State over Michigan. He is a 4-star defensive lineman from St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia, the same high school. Some of you may remember the same high school that Kyle McCord and Routman Marv went to. They have a lot of good talent, And it seems like Ohio State is trying to go back to that. I wouldn't say pipeline yet, but if a pipeline happens and gets created to go from St. Joe's Prep to Columbus, your boy would not be mad about it. But for that to happen, you got to continue to grind. You got to continue to work. You got to continue to be on the top of your game. And with NIL being a part of recruiting, now what are you going to find? Players might be waiting till the very last minute to figure out who the highest bidder is and go to a school based off money, not based off fit, not based off the relationship that they have with the coach. Does that make any sense to you? Well, if you're all about your money, all about them Benjamins, it might. If you care more about the dollars and cents than what makes sense for you to get on the field quickly or what makes sense for you to get to the NFL and the school that gives you the best opportunity to get to the National Football League, it might. This whole thing is odd, but it's recruiting, man. It's a daily grind. And for a Ryan Day, Larry Johnson, Matt Guerrieri, all the other coaches, I rarely put Matt Guerrieri up there before Chip Kelly or Jim Knowles, but he's a newcomer. He's on my mind right now, especially as we're going to talk about the coaches later on in this show. It's a grind. Whatever you hear about Jordan Davison, Maxwell Roy, Malik Autry, whoever it is, remember, you might hear something today, and that news might change tomorrow. Because over the past couple of days, I heard one thing about the Buckeyes running back room and the recruiting for this cycle, and I heard something else the next day. Just keep that in mind. News will be circling. News will be out there. No matter what you hear, the coaches must grind to accomplish their goal. Because we hear things, the coaches know a lot more than we do, and they can't let what they hear or the trends that they see derail them from the goal, which is building the best recruiting class Ohio State can build. Speaking of building Ohio State's recruiting classes, that's what's a part of the coach's this job description, to recruit your position and possibly some others. Well, there might be a change to for the coaching staff that might help them on the field, that'll help them in recruiting. I'll tell you what it is next. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. One thing we know right now, the NBA draft is tonight, but also the NBA finals are over. The Stanley Cup playoffs are over. Baseball's right in front of us. Maybe with there being so many baseball games throughout the week, you and your boys, you and your friends, you and your girls are trying to figure out what to do on the weekend or on a weekday. All of a sudden, it's let's go to a baseball game. The last minute play, the best place to get last minute tickets at a low price with that game time guarantee, it's Game Time. And they also help take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This episode is brought to you by Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more, and the best service in Central Ohio. Everything you need for in-home and even backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Alhassan, Canada, billiards, and more. And the grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or wood-fired, Billiards Plus has a perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated, and when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. Billiards Plus. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Ohio State's coaching staff is in a, healthy spot right now. They're currently in a spot in the school where you got some newcomers, and Matt Guerreri or James Laurinaitis is not new to the coaching staff. He was a GA last year, but he has been promoted to full-time linebackers coach. You got Lachlan, who is new. So you got some new blood, Blair, some new fresh blood. Chip Kelly is new as well. But you got Jim Knowles and Tim Walton and Larry Johnson. You got Justin Fry. You got Coach Key. You got Ryan Day. You got some guys that are seasoned vets as far as being there for a few years at Ohio State. And you got some guys that are new there. I think currently right now, the balance of who they currently have, it's a healthy coaching staff. But recently, the NCAA recently made a change that now allows Ohio State to have an unlimited number of staff members coach players during practices and games. Now, normally you may say, Jay, we all hear rumors that there are staffers, and who knows what the staffer actually means. There's a lot of people that could fit the staffer profile. There are people out there that, they're coaching during practice when they shouldn't, but they're still out there doing it. Is that bad? Well, it's breaking the rules, and I'm not a person that wants to go out here and blatantly break rules, but that's going to happen. That's been happening for years, and the NCAA knows it. They don't come down on it, so they change the rule. Cool. It's a little weird, man. It's a little weird. Now, this is also up to Ryan Day. Now, even though this is a rule, Ryan Day could say, "Look, I know what the NC2A says. I don't want all y'all knuckleheads on the sidelines. I don't want all y'all knuckleheads up in the press box. I don't want all y'all knuckleheads around me on game day. I don't want all y'all knuckleheads around these players either. I don't want you." Now, he could go out there and do that thing. I don't think he will. But think about it. Think about what they're allowing now. You got analysts. You got guys, Joe Philbin. You long time NFL coach. Was at Ohio State for a year as an analyst, and I think he's back in the NFL now. But what do you have? You got guys that have been coaching sometimes for 20, 30 years who come to a school like Ohio State, say, hey, they want to keep coaching, but they want to kind of keep their name relevant. They want to keep active, so they come to be an analyst, and the next thing you know, Bam, they're gone a year later to go coach somewhere else. Cool. Nothing wrong with that. What did Nick Saban do so well, and why do you think Ryan Day is doing what he's doing now? Nick Saban would find guys, OCs, other places, defensive coordinators, other places. Maybe things didn't go so well, but they're still a respected name in the sport. Nick Saban will say, hey, cool, come down to Tuscaloosa, be an analyst for me for a year, get back out there and do your thing. Well, what happened? That could kind of be like a stepping stone for someone to one, stay fresh, but also to two, get a little boost in their step, a little pep in their step. That's what I was trying to figure out to say. This is weird. It's very, very weird. Because I went to the NCAA.org and looked at some other things that they ended up going over and voting, and the council voted to remove cannabis testing. Okay, well, that's there. They changed things with official visits in basketball and baseball. Okay. A rule change adopted and approved by the council will now allow student athletes to compete in more than one foreign tour with the same school. That's for the basketball side of things. Basketball programs are still limited to one foreign tour every 4 years. Okay, you're changing rules now. They're changing a recruiting calendar again, which needed to be changed. Trust me, some of these things here, they're not just excess. They're trying to allow other people to just have more freedom. Some of this stuff needs to happen. But now, is this the time for one? I don't think they needed to change this stuff with the coaching. Not at all. Because some coaches, they'll try to get an upper hand and get a competitive advantage and try to go out there and use some of their staff or some of their analysts, some guys that have been doing it for a very, 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 very long time and say, oh, we need you here. We need you to come on here. We need you to be here and watch this guy. I want you to focus on him. Don't focus on anybody else but him. You're like, wait, I got an expertise in all of this. No, do it with him. Okay, you do your job. You see something? Oh, no, I don't want to hear what you have to say about number 25. I want you to watch number 82. Wait, 25 did this. It could help us if he altered his move. No, we're on 25. You go to 82. These are the types of things that might happen. Also, it can work out to be gold. Bring a guy down that's an analyst, have him be on the sidelines, be it hands-on, more hands-on in practices and in games. What do you find? Well, it's a recipe for success for you. There's two sides of the coin, two sides of the equation. Honestly, right now, I think the NCAA is just trying to be nice to everybody. It's trying to, hey, we messed up for decades. And I'm not here to dive into the mishaps and the mistakes the NCAA has made. I'm not a person that believes NCAA has done no good at all. I would never say that. If you hear somebody say that, say, look, buddy, you're not right. The NCAA has done some good, a lot of good out there. They're not just out here trying to tear athletes' lives away and mess things up and hold them down. And no, don't. They provide so much for so many people. When people say the NCAA is X, Y, or Z, and a lot of the stuff they're utilizing is hashtag poor analysis, it makes me cringe a little bit. It makes me feel a little weird because the NCAA has done a lot of good and provided a lot for a lot of people, provided a lot of financial freedom for a lot of people in certain positions. Yes, they're working towards allowing certain things because they're forced to allow certain things for athletes. I'm not happy with some of the things that have happened with the athletes in mind, some of the rules in place that negatively impact the athletes. However, they've done a lot of good that needs to be talked about. I don't know if this is good, though. I don't. I have no idea. You have watched a football game, numerous football games. NFL, you watched games in college. You watched Ohio State numerous times. Some of you have been watching Ohio State since the 60s and 70s and maybe even the 50s. Trust me, y'all been watching Ohio State for a very, very long time. You watched high school football, and what do you know when you watch in college? Buddy, the sideline is full. Full, I tell you. And it's not just those end zone shots during the game against Michigan when you got the cameraman back there right at that line where say you can't go in front of this. but also you got people that are working for television stations and radio stations and news crews, and you got journalists out there, and all of a sudden you got people that are in for the day, that are special for the day. So many things, and now all of a sudden you're saying we're going to continue to allow all that and allow more staffers to be more hands-on in practices and in games. And honestly, Ryan Day can say, look, okay, you can be hands-on in games, just not on the sidelines. Be in the locker room, be in the press box, whatever it is, just don't be on the sidelines. Okay. That's up to him. Every coach has the freedom to figure this thing out the way they want to. And honestly, he may say, look, I know what the NCAA says. We ain't doing that here. We're not going to allow all y'all knuckleheads. I'm using that loosely, sarcastically. I hope nobody's taking that saying, well, Jay say these guys are knuckleheads. You look it up and see what the definition of knuckleheads is, and you're saying, well, Jay said, I hope nobody is out here trying to say that. I'm trying to have a little fun here on a Wednesday. This is weird. This is so weird, man. We knew more stuff was going to come. More stuff was going to be changed and altered, but this, didn't expect this to happen. One thing I did expect was for EA Sports College Football 25 to rank the toughest places to play. Where did Ohio Stadium fall in this ranking? I'll tell you next. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. The game is not here yet, less than a month away. EA Sports College Football 2025 will be here. Man, I had been playing NCAA 14 religiously since it came out back in 2013, literally religiously. Had an Xbox 360, actually got it for that game. I got that game. It was a birthday gift that year. Got that game, played that bad boy all the time. Oh man, my first copy, it played it so much that bad boy died and froze up and couldn't fix it. So I had to get a new copy, and that thing started to get a little shaky there towards the end, but that bad boy has kept me the entire time. I'm waiting for 25, man. I've been waiting for over 10 years for this thing to come out. Ooh, I cannot wait. I also was one that could not wait for the rankings to come out for when they rank the toughest places to play. 10 through 1. Their rankings of the toughest places to play in the game. Also, this is subject to change because as technology allows the game to alter things and add and improve rankings or change rankings or ratings, they can change the rankings of this in the game too. Number 10, Ben-Ho Griffin Stadium, Florida. Doak Campbell in Florida State. Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Oklahoma. Wisconsin's Camp Randall Stadium is number 7. Beaver Stadium at Penn State's number 6. Top 5 toughest places to play in the game. Sanford Stadium in Georgia is number 5. Number 4, Ohio Stadium. Number 3, Tiger Stadium down in the Bayou, LSU. Number 2, Bryant-Denny Stadium, Alabama. Number 1, Kyle Field with Texas A&M. The one thing I will say I was so happy to see, well, not see here, is I don't see that school in Ann Arbor anywhere in the top 10. And I forget, I saw the top 25. It's not right in front of me right now. I don't think they're in the top 15 either. They can boast about their attendance and how they have so many people inside the stadium, this, that, whatever. The new video game came out. Y'all not in the top 15? Hey, we won that battle, and hopefully things are a little bit different on the two teams. Buckeyes and Wolverines battle this year on Thanksgiving weekend. I'm not mad about this list. I'm not mad about it at all. I'm really not. If I think about the toughest places to play in the sport, honestly, what I think Kyle Field at Texas A&M is up there towards the top, yes. What I think Bryant-Denny Stadium's up there towards the top, yes. Tiger Stadium, LSU, yes. Ohio Stadium, yes. Sanford Stadium, yes. Beaver Stadium, yes. Camp Randall, yes. Now, you may say when it comes to Oklahoma and Florida State and Florida, you may say, Jay, they're tough, but there's something a little bit different about Camp Randall. Even when Ohio State went there, I want to say it was last year and played a night game in Camp Randall, and they walked away. I think it was a 14-point win or 21-point win, and Ohio State was clearly a lot better than what they played that day. But it's like, hey, look, it's Camp Randall at night. A little spooky. We all know at the whiteout in Penn State and how that thing can get a little wacky. Hey, I am here for the whiteout. I'm not mad about it. Honestly, I'm not trying to sit up here and say they got it wrong. Do I think that they at Ohio Stadium and Sanford Stadium, what basically Ohio State and Georgia could have flipped? Yes. Would it shock me if Beaver Stadium was ahead of Ohio Stadium? Wouldn't shock me at all. Honestly, the one thing I would switch, well, a little bit, I would put LSU at number one, and there's no questions asked. LSU at night is easily, y'all might not like this, the toughest place to play in the sport. Has been for a very long time, and that's still the same thing this year. Down in the Bayou, I don't know what they put down there in those drinks. I don't know what goes on pregame. I have no idea if people are camping out for 3 or 4 days waiting till game day. I have no idea what they do to get hyped for that game. All I know is when it's LSU at night, and I turn on the ESPN or the ABC or the old school CBS for that game, and it's a night game. Buddy, look, it's a little bit different down there in the Bayou. But I will say this. Some of y'all think I'm not giving Ohio Stadium its just due. Ohio Stadium is a great place to play. It provides an electric atmosphere during big games. I have not been at Ohio Stadium for the biggest of biggest games Ohio State has played over the past 20 years. No, not any of them. But I will say this. Ohio Stadium, Ohio State fans have done a whole lot better recently in big games, home games, to make it more of a wild atmosphere. They have. I am not going to say they have not. Because for a while, I know in college basketball, they call the North Carolina fans the wine and cheese crowd. I'm not saying that's Ohio State, but I will say sometimes they need a little pep, a little push. They need to have a little personal pep rally to get things a little bit better. But no, they have done better. Fans have done better. And it's been fun to watch from my vantage point as that thing has happened. I don't see Ohio State being at the top, Ohio State and being at the top of this list throughout any part of this season. Honestly, it wouldn't shock me if it was LSU. Honestly, to me, even though I'm not really overly upset with it, I think Camp Randall could be in the top 5. I think LSU could be 1, Penn State could be 2, and then you give me Kyle Field 3, and then any combination of Bryant-Denny, Ohio Stadium, and Sanford Stadium, buddy, I would not be upset at all. I would not be. Now, if Florida's good, if Florida State's consistently good, yeah, they could be top 5. But are you going to be mad if you're not top 5? You're top 10 and you're not in the top 5. Let's say you're 8 versus 3, or you're 9 versus 4, or you're 7 versus 5. Are you really going to split hairs like that? In this part, I really wouldn't. It's, to me, very similar to when you say somebody is the greatest of all time in something, but then somebody is a 2, 3, or 4. That 1 versus 2, man, that could be an intense battle depending on who it is. But then somebody very smartly says, what are we talking about? We're talking about the first and second best of all time in this, whatever the field is. Is it really that big of a deal? Should the debate really be that deep? Not really. Why? We're talking about 1 and 2 in a particular field. Who's your favorite basketball team of all time, or basketball player of all time? Or who do you think is the best basketball player of all time? And who's number 2, who's number 3? You might be able to put together a big debate over that. I remember, I'm going to close out with this, the Kokomo Bobcats in the basketball league. I was actually able to host a weekly show covering that basketball team, and I got to have the head coach of the team, Chandler Livingston-Simon, on the show every week with a player, sometimes an assistant coach. And it was fun. It was very, very fun. Well, before hosting that show, my introduction to the team was at Media Day. And so we went there for Media Day, and I walk in, and I recognize some faces from the year before. Got to be a fan, a spectator a lot of the time, just not covering the team, but really just going to the games to enjoy them. And I walk into Media Day, and these guys are talking about, man, Kobe Bryant this, man, Kevin Durant that. And I'm sitting here like, look, Kobe's my guy. Kobe. It was Kobe and LeBron, honestly. It was Kevin Durant at the tail end of the conversation, but it was Kobe and LeBron. Kobe and LeBron. And I'm like, look, I know when I say LeBron, a lot of y'all get it. What did he say? He best not say the wrong thing. What's about to come out of his mouth? I'm a Kobe guy. I'll say that clearly, say it now. So when I hear the conversation, I'm thinking, okay, cool. This guy's a Kobe guy. The guy's a LeBron guy. somebody's right, somebody's wrong. That's in my head. And then all of a sudden, and I'm thinking about it, what are we really doing? You can debate one or the other, but they're still greats. And if somebody comes out and says, hey, man, they're two greats, your conversation don't really mean nothing. Y'all splitting hairs, but they still greats. I mean, they're still great at what they do. That's true. And so when it comes to this list, honestly, yeah, I think it really matters at times. If top 10 going to affect how the gameplay is in those stadiums during big games, it'll be tougher to play at Kyle Field for a big game than it would be at, let's say, Indiana was home. Why? Because Kyle Field is the toughest place to play in the game right now. Home field advantage actually matters. They're going to make that matter in the game. Not mad about it at all. But if you're 1 versus 4, 1 or 4 or 7 or 8, it don't really matter. What does matter? Move up that ranking. And also be ahead of them pesky Wolverines. Out of here, y'all, on a Wednesday. Glad to be back with you. Got a couple of days left in the week of shows. Woo! I cannot wait to continue this trend, talk about your favorite team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, all off season long. Because other shows, they have off season, and they say this and they do that. Hey, around here, Locked on Buckeyes, we're the everydayers. We don't stop. There is no offseason around here. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. We're out here, Buckeye fans, on a Wednesday. We'll see you next time.